Welcome everyone to our 13th episode of the Unwrapped Leader, where we get raw, real, and relevant with the new network marketing and how you can become a gifted leader in your business. Today's episode, we have a very special guest, Louise Adrian. She has actually been in the network marketing industry as a professional for well over 30 years. She has definitely made this a successful career, and she has always had her hand on heart, learning different learning styles, being a heart-centered leader in the industry. She brings to us today that she has earned well over 40 incentive trips. She's also co-authored in a couple of books with fantastic authors like Zig Ziglar in the Network Marketing for Dummies. She's also worked with Jan Ruhe, who is a pioneer female in the network marketing industry of being a trainer and writing multiple books. We are absolutely delighted to have her share with us here today. My name is Dracy Dewar from Australia.
And my name is Teisha Dorianna from Canada. I am so excited for this interview. Dracy, you have told me so much about Louise and just how accomplished she's been in this industry for over 30 years. And I'm excited to meet her and hear her story actually for the very first time in this interview. And I just can't wait to hear it. So I say we get right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the interview.
Well, we are here with my good friend and fabulous Louise Adrian, all the way from British Columbia, Canada, which is amazing. And just before I throw the floor to you, Louise, I just have to share with everybody, because I don't think many people know this. Not only have you and I known each other, and we go based on how old my son is, because I was due when we did our interview together. And so he's 23 years old. He'll be 24 in February. But what's amazing is Louise and I actually met at a Belinda Ellsworth networking event. And what was amazing about that, you were in Discovery Toys then, I was within Party Light, and you approached me, said, would you like to do a catalog swap or a product swap? And, you know, I was bursting out with babies. I think I was on my third baby, within 2 years or something like that. And I was like, yeah, toys. And you were probably thinking, oh, candles. But what was amazing is internally, you and I were like, okay, let's get the best customer service ever. You know, like that seed was planted, you know, she's amazing. But what was awesome is that was it, I think, beginning of December, but in January, you reached out, left a message for me saying, Dracy, I'd love to talk to you. Well, we know when those things happen, there's like, what does she want? So anyway, I called Louise. She says, I'd love to just get together and chat and have a talk with you about your business. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm actually due to have a baby. And so, you know, in a couple of weeks, we could get together. And she goes, well, I'm going on an event. I think it was an incentive trip when I get back. Well, anyway, 48 hours later, this baby was late, not coming. So I just said, hey, I don't do this waiting game very long. And so I invited you over to my home. And this is where Louise interviewed me. So what's amazing, 23 years later, she interviewed me to become part of my team. And so I was her upline. And here's what's amazing. 23 years later, 4 years ago, she's now my upline in Youngevity. So who would have thunk that would have happened? But Louise, you came in Youngevity, or you came into Party Light way back then as you gave up the high level income and position that you had with your company to start all over again. That was amazing. And you obviously achieved the highest level of that company. And again, you've made decisions that you've rode with them, and you've made decisions to move on. And that's what's interesting about your career. We want to highlight you as a professional network marketer for over 30 years. And we want to highlight the fact that you not necessarily was with the same company, but you were with the right companies for you at the right time. And you've raised yourself to the highest ranking leadership position. So I just want to welcome you. We want to hear your story. Tell us a little bit more about you. Aww. And I love you. You know, one thing I really admire about you is not only do you train in all the different learning styles, but you love people in the different love languages. And you have loved me through the years. You have, words of affirmation. You've sent me gifts. You've always paid attention to me, my family. You've given quality time. So hand on heart, you've always had a special place for me on my heart and your whole family. So I love you, Louise. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Love you back. Yeah, it's, this industry is truly amazing. I just spent a couple of hours with somebody today discussing it, and I feel like I grew up as a person in this industry, and I had no idea what I was getting myself in for when I first enrolled in Discovery Toys. I didn't know it was network marketing at all. And we had just moved. We moved to mile zero on the Alaska Highway, truly in the middle of nowhere. My husband's a banker and he got transferred there. And it was a promotion, believe it or not, because I always think, do people get sent to those places because they're not doing well? But no, he got sent there because he was. And a friend phoned me out of the blue, asked me, I was ordering product from her, and then she out of the blue called me and said, listen, would you be interested in being a distributor? And I said, sure, I'll get the product cheaper. I really didn't understand the concept when I joined. And I joined, and I think it was 6 weeks later, I got a phone call saying, congratulations, you are a leader. And that was head office calling me. And I said, what does that mean? I said, what do you mean? What does that mean? I had no help, guidance, direction, no clue what I was doing. And they said, well, it's in the manual, all the information. I said, there was a manual in my kit. And I went running to our office, and there was still the cardboard box that my product came in. And I opened it up, and lo and behold, in the bottom, in cellophane, was a manual. And that's how my business started. And I was with that company for 9 years. And, I outgrew it, and then, moved on to Party Light and worked with Dracy. And I was with Party Light for 15 years. So yes, I've been with 3 companies. I've been steady and strong and long in companies because I really join a company when I love the product and the values and the purpose. And it's been a great industry for me. It helped me pay for all the activities for my kids. It helped pay for private school, university, weddings, cars for my kids, travel for my kids. And now I get to pass that on to 2 wonderful grandkids. So it's been a great career, still having a great time in my career. And I truly love this business.
Well, you've definitely made an impact. You're making a difference. I now know your passions have changed more into the health and industry, and you've literally not only making difference in people's wealth, but also in their health. And so we just want you to know how much we really appreciate that. One of the things, though, I just think is interesting how you brought up within 6 weeks, you were a leader. You technically were the accidental leader, and you didn't even know the manual was there. It was so funny because back in the day when we had manuals, physical ones, now it's all online, we used to call him Manuel, and we were supposed to take Manuel to bed every night and study that. Which is funny. But when I wanted to just kind of ask, you've promoted out a lot of leaders in this industry over all these years, and the importance of leadership, and hence why one of the, not only being a friend, but and respecting your opinion of our book, we really wanted to unwrap, the gifts in leadership. So can we ask you a little bit about how do you recognize somebody worthy of being a leader, and what steps do you take to help them there?
Leader is an interesting word because so many people throw it out there and so many people say they want it. I'm going to be a leader. And, as uplines and trainers in this industry, when somebody says they really want it, we come alongside of them, we lock arms with them, we want to run with them and help them and help them get that goal. But it's very interesting because developing solid leaders requires commitment. And it's not just from those of us that are going to be helping them. It's from the person that wants to be the leader. And so many say they want it, but really and truly, the actions equal the rank. So that's a really interesting thing. Actions equal the rank. Because if they're not going to put in the actions and we help them so much, because often we can help too much, get them to leadership, and then they don't have the actions, they don't know what those steps are and the actions to stay there, it was all for nothing. And so what I find is I need to talk to them a lot, every couple of days, and I call it fix and adjust. So let's work on what's working, and let's fix what's not working. So fix and adjust, because just those subtle little tweaks can really make a difference. And so if we're only talking to somebody once a week, we talk to them on Monday, they're all excited, they're pumped, they go out there, they get 1 or 2 no's, 3 no's, 4 no's, something happens. And then all of a sudden by the end of the week, I'm quitting. Whereas if you were to talk to them every few days, you keep it at that level and you're able to fix and adjust on a constant basis. So maybe not every day, but for sure every other day. So the fix and adjusts have been absolutely huge in developing leaders for me. And the other thing is they've got to commit to the process, because if it was easy, everybody would be there. And it's not easy. It's not easy to get there, and it's often not easy to maintain if you stop and start. And so it's got to be this consistent daily actions. And not every coach or mentor is well-rounded in every area. So if when you're working with somebody on leadership and there is something that is blocking them, that is holding them back from getting what they really want to accomplish, then it's up to you as the leader to connect them in to what can help them. So whether it's self-development, self-help, whatever that might be, overcoming objections, there are so many great books and webinars and podcasts and YouTube things out there that everything literally is at people's fingertips. So it's really up to you as their upline leader to identify what those strengths and weaknesses might be and make sure they're connected into something that's going to help them. And so that's really sort of, my secret in promoting leaders.
Yeah, well, good for you, Louise. I think it's fantastic. And I just wanted to say that the action equals the rank. And it's interesting you say that, because when you say, well, if you reach out to 2 people every day, you're probably going to get, have a part-time business. If you reach out to 5 people a day, okay, you can grow a nice sustainable business. But it's those that are willing to reach out to 10 people a day, they're going to have the big time business. And it really does match the action answers the rank. So I think that was really great feedback on there, in there.
I just want to highlight,
Teisha,
can I highlight something you said at the beginning? At the beginning, when you're sharing your story, that was the first time I've ever heard it. And so when you said you promote a leader and then you got that call, like, that's crazy. That's crazy, right? It reminded me a little bit about my accidental leadership story too, as Dracy brought up, because we have no idea. We didn't even know what we were doing. We weren't even following a manual. We were just, doing what we knew, and we knew that we loved the product, and we had a passion for sharing it with others. So it just goes to show too that really, like, you could look at a manual and you can, follow an instruction step by step, but people get there in so many different ways. And I feel like it's just so much more genuine coming across when you're really starting because you're passionate about the product. So I feel like you changing from those, I think you said you've been involved in 3 different companies, right? Yes. And Dracy mentioned that, to find that perfect fit, like how did that work for you? Like to find that perfect fit with the company that you ended up in now, based on kind of when you got started? Yeah,
that's great. And I mean, even my website says, I'm an accidental leader or an accidental entrepreneur. Sorry. And so for me, in my previous company, I started to get really ill. And so I started researching wellness, and I'd always been into wellness a little bit. I introduced Dracy into wellness, like when I first met her, probably. So I'd always had wellness at the back of my mind. But then when you get sick and you're not well, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, do I have to quit the industry? What am I going to do? And then you start to research and look to see what can help and support you. And that's, and then I ended up in the wellness industry.
Yeah. It makes a big difference to have that, like, support and of course the passion for what you're doing too. So that's awesome. And Dracy was also telling me that she obviously, you guys have worked together for a while, but she's talked about your branding and your niche market and how you've been really good at just niching down. And so we know you you invested in yourself when it came to that. So at what point did you decide to invest in yourself? What was kind of that like moment for you when you're like, I need to, find either a coach or someone that can help me with this?
Well, it's really interesting because the first company I was with, which is Discovery Toys, again, I accidentally bumped into somebody who was their top distributor. And at the time I didn't know. And I started paying attention and listening to her. And she kind of came alongside of me, had no financial gain for that. And she started, helping me along the way. And as time went on, we connected more and more and more and more. And I flew to Aspen a few times and spent some time with her. And she really helped me reach out to sort of get the information that I needed. So you have to know I'm an introvert. Most people are extroverts, I find, that get to the top quickly. I'm an introvert. And so I've always had to work really hard on that. You know, if we've got a room full of people and I don't know them, I'm off to one side. My husband is an extrovert. He is right in the thick of it. I'm always ready to run out the door and leave, and I'm always waiting for him. So I think, you know, for me, she introduced me to a lot of great speakers. She actually got me a one-on-one with Jim Rohn, and that was a huge highlight for me. So, you know, I was exposed to a lot of really great people in the beginning, and I think that made a big difference. So for me, I've always been, you know, a promoter of hearing other people outside of your company, because your company cannot give you everything. You know, in a perfect world, that would be great, but they can't give you everything. So you need to know what you need to work on, you know, self-evaluate, you know, really think about it and what's holding you back. And if something's holding you back, if you can work on it and fix it, then there's no stopping you.
So I was just asking, like, so you introduced that to me clearly in the early days, because I was just kind of like, you know, in my bubble, and I only did what I was told, and I was in my little party like bubble. But, you know, I started to expand outside of that and speakers and stuff like that. And that was one of the big things that Teisha and I talk about, is know what your gifts are and know what you need to improve on, and go and get the support that you need for it. And I think you were always a big driver of that. And so now you in the wellness business, you've sought outside support. You've gone from old school network marketing to new school network marketing, and you've really niched yourself down. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you've done that, or what you're doing in your business to really stand out?
Yeah. And I want to just go back there for 1 second, because it's very interesting, because when I first met you, I talked about some of the speakers that I've attended and gone to. And I remember you saying to me, oh, we only get training from our own company. And I was like, really? So I do remember that conversation. But one thing that I learned, like right in the beginning of my career, was learning styles. And if you can master learning styles, it will be a huge bonus for your business in dealing with people. So this was trained to me because the first company I was with was a children's company. And so we were always looking at child development and how to work with children and those sorts of things. So it was learning styles. So I'm just going to go through the different learning styles, because most of us now are doing a lot of our marketing through social media. I get almost the majority of my business is done through social media, between Facebook and Instagram. And when you are looking to promote on social media, you can't just promote things that you like or styles that you like, because not everybody will follow a live or listen to a live, or not everybody, when you make a post, you know, it is going to read it. So it's like, okay, what do you have to do social media wise to appeal to everybody? And that's where rotating it around is really important. So the learning styles helps you connect with different people on their level. So for example, the kinesthetic learner will always be the heart of your business. When you look at a kinesthetic learner, they often will sit beside somebody to work with them, or they'll have a child on their knee. And so I'll take my grandsons, two completely opposite children. One will sit on my knee, wants me to show him. The other one will just say, well, just tell me. Two totally different learning styles. So the kinesthetic learner, they have to feel good to produce. So if you've got a leader who is a kinesthetic learner, you have to be praising them and personally hand-holding and showing them every step of the way, because if it doesn't feel good to them, they're not going to do it. Then you look at a digital learner. So, which I am not a digital learner, but a digital learner is the person who their wallet is completely in order, their bag, their purse, no loose papers floating around on their desk. They will be the masters of your compensation plan. They'll be able to teach your compensation plan to others like nobody else can. They know their numbers, their facts, their figures. And to have them join your team, they need those numbers. So that's your digital person. The auditory person, they love to listen to Zooms. They're going to learn on your Zooms, podcasts. They like that personal training. But for an auditory person, they have to hear it for it to make sense. So a post on social media, just an Instagram post, is not going to appeal to an auditory learner. Then you've got your visuals. The visuals, if your graphic is off center or not quite balanced, that's going to make them a little crazy. So your visual people need to see your posts that are just going to look perfect, right? They're your visual people. And each one of these people adds tremendous value to your team. We can't have the same kind of people all the time, right? We need that diversity in our business for it to be successful. So when you take into account learning styles for even just training, any Zooms, any training, you need the PowerPoint for those visual people so that they can actually see it. And you need some numbers for your digital people, because if you're going to explain to a digital person to do something a certain way, they're going to ask you why. Whereas the other learning styles probably won't ask you why. But your digital person will always, and you're going to feel sometimes like maybe they're challenging you, but they're not challenging you. It's their learning style. So think about that with some of your people on your team that you might go, oh my gosh, they're making me crazy, because they want the facts, the figures, the numbers, a proper document, but that's their learning style. And for them to succeed and move forward, they need that. The kinesthetic people need the happy posts. They need you to recognize them. They need happy posts. And so when you're looking at branding yourself or you're doing your social media, you need some happy, fun, crazy, look what I did. How did I do this? I'm wearing 2 different shoes today and I went out, my shirt's on backwards, whatever. They need something that's going to make them laugh. And so I spent a few years in the wellness industry trying to find my niche, because I'd come from a completely different background jumping in to the wellness industry. And it definitely wasn't easy making that jump. And so for me, having rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia, moving into wellness was a really good choice, because obviously it helped me live, a better life. And so anytime that I'm posting on social media, I'm trying to appeal to different learning styles. And so for me, the majority of my business is done online, and the majority of my orders, the majority of my contacts. And so realistically, getting into groups with like-minded people, and growing your business from networking. And it's not fast. It's not like the old party plan days where I used to go into a living room full of people. They were there to meet me. I was there to meet them. I now had 10, 15 new customers and usually one distributor, and you just kept going. It's a completely different game now. And so by appealing to those learning styles, you will reach way more people and they will connect with you faster.
That's fantastic, Louise. I love that. And it's really obvious if you're following. So everybody wants to follow Louise on her Instagram and her Facebook. You can really see all those styles come through, like, visually. And even when you do your reels or sharing lives, you can see it, the heart-centered. You share your cooking passion, you share your grandkids' passion, your gardening passion, but you also educate in a way that, people want to learn, and you become an authority in what you've done. So you've done a fantastic job doing that, and saying that. Did you want to add anything there, Teisha?
Yeah, I actually, when you were saying that, it reminded me of just when I was in university, because I went for elementary education, and that's what they taught us all the time was you need to explain the same concept 5 times in 5 different ways if you want to make sure you're teaching the whole class. And so a lot of those concepts that I learned from just my degree and going through all those assignments and planning and my practicums, like I've been able to take with me as well into my business and implement that. But it's a really good reminder. And I loved how you broke it down and just related it to the network marketing industry on every single type of learner and what they need. So that was really, really good. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And it just highlights the importance of why, and you can see just the way they talk about on Instagram and branding and that, why you need a post, why you need to care. So why you need to do lives, why you need reels, because it ultimately is hitting everybody's learning and loving styles to be attracted to you. So,
and the branding, Dracy, what you said there is really important, because if your Instagram looks messy, then your digital people are gone, right? And so, but the digital people are good producers. So yeah, the branding is very important.
Excellent. Well, you've done a fantastic job with that, for sure. I really think that looks great. And so we'll, just before we wrap it up, Teisha, we got one more question for Louise.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, so you've given so much great advice so far. And what if there is one piece of advice that you could give to new people coming into the network marketing industry, looking to start their own business, what would that piece of advice be to them?
Well, that's a great question. And I'm going to take it from here, because I truly believe in focus. And if you're unfocused, you're never going to get where you want to go. And so in here, Dracy actually wrote this bit, and she said, subtle is even more destructive because it can take residence in your heart and paralyze you from what really matters. And so there's a section here on being focused, and it's really true. You can always tell the focused people from the people that are not focused. And so, you know, you can't have your foot on the brake and the gas at the same time. Well, my mom drives that way, but you shouldn't have your foot 2 feet going like that at the same time. So you can't have your foot on the brake and on the gas at the same time and get where you want to go. So being focused is incredibly important. And, you know, in the Unwrapped Leader, you talk, you know, quite a bit about being focused. And so when you look at today, right, and this is where this industry is ever changing. So what we talk about today, 2 years from now, we would need to fix and adjust, right? Because people change, the market changes, social media changes. And so we are basically right at the moment in a mini recession at the moment, could come to a full-blown recession. And so what do you do in a recession? I've run a business through a recession, and I thrived in a recession. So what has to change? And really, it's your growth mindset. And to accelerate in a recession when other people are not, it truly is increasing your knowledge. And so, you know, you have to focus on what's going to set you apart from everybody else to build a really successful business. And when you have focus, you are unstoppable. And so focus, I would say, number one.
Good job. And that really comes down to that Midas touch. You know, what is it that you're going to touch and give gold out every day that's going to turn to gold, going out and giving love every day, and really truly being that laser focus, which is great. Well, I guess we're going to finish off with asking for a book review and what you really got out of the book. And if there was one real chapter that you really loved, clearly, obviously was the focus, but is there anything else you'd like to add and build upon?
Well, you know, what I really liked about the book is some books are such a heavy read. And so you've really got to get your brain in a certain mindset. You've got to have the quiet room. You've got to take, you know, the time to go and sit and reflect or whatever. This is an easy read. So it's one of those books that you can pick up and you can literally get through it fairly quickly. I always recommend having a highlighter, you know, when you're reading a book, but it's an easy read and it's practical. And so when you look at stuff that's practical and you implement it, that's when it's golden. And so that's the good thing about the book. It's very easy to read and the printing's big. So for me with bad eyes, I love that. So it's definitely worth you taking the time to get the book and read the book and get your highlighter out and learn some new things.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And so many people have told me the same thing about, oh, I love the size of the words and just how it, you know, you could sit down and you could just finish it probably in a day, honestly. So thank you so much. That was so nice.
No problem. We appreciate you, Louise, and thank you so much for coming and unwrapping your gifts with us. You truly are a gifted leader. We appreciate you, and we want to see you continue to grow in this industry. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Louise, for such an incredible interview. There were so many great takeaways in there. And one of my absolute favorites were the learning styles that you covered and how you related them to social media and how we can reach out to every different type of learner, every different type of business builder who could be working this industry and this business with us as well. So we just want to say thank you for your time and for being here with us today. So for all of you listeners out there, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys do like the video, comment what your favorite takeaway was from Louise in the comments, and share this with your teams if you feel like this is something that they can take as well to their business. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already yet. And last but not least, make sure you guys do go get on that pre-order waitlist on our website, www.theunwrappedleader.com. For when our book first launches, you'll be the first to know. And we are still giving away a couple books. So if you're on there, you may just be a lucky winner of one of our copies. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.